You walk into a room. Before you even say a word, before you shake anyone's hand, before you smile, people have already decided who you are. 7 seconds. That's all it takes for someone to form a complete judgment about your intelligence, your trustworthiness, your success, and whether they even want to know you. And here's the scary part. Once that impression is set, it's almost impossible to change. But what if I told you that understanding the psychology behind first impressions could completely transform how people see you? Today, we're diving deep into the science of those critical 7 seconds, and I'm going to show you exactly what's happening in people's brains when they first meet you, and how you can make sure that snap judgment works in your favor every single time. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is where we explore the fascinating world of psychology and human behavior. Today's topic is something that affects every single one of us, every single day: first impressions. Now, I know what you're thinking. 7 seconds? That seems way too fast. But here's the thing. Our brains are incredibly sophisticated prediction machines. They've evolved over millions of years to make quick decisions about people, and most of this happens completely unconsciously. Whether at a job interview, a first date, meeting your partner's parents, or even just networking at an event, first impressions are constantly shaping your life in ways you probably don't even realize. So let's break down the science, understand what's really happening, and most importantly, learn how to make those 7 seconds count. The science behind 7 seconds. Let's start with the research. Where does this 7-second rule actually come from? Back in the 1990s, psychologists at Princeton University conducted groundbreaking studies on snap judgments. They showed participants photographs of faces for just 1/10 a second, literally a fraction of a blink, and asked them to rate various traits like trustworthiness, competence, and likability. The results were shocking. These split-second judgments remained incredibly consistent even when people were given unlimited time to decide. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you meet someone in person, you're not just seeing their face. You're taking in their body language, their clothing, their posture, their tone of voice, their handshake, their eye contact, and dozens of other tiny signals. All of this information floods into your brain simultaneously, and your unconscious mind starts processing it immediately. Within those first 7 seconds, your brain is asking some fundamental questions. Is this person a threat or a friend? Are they competent or incompetent? Can I trust them? Are they confident or insecure? And your brain answers these questions using a combination of evolutionary programming and your personal life experiences. This is called thin slicing, a term coined by psychologist Nalini Ambady. It's your brain's ability to find patterns in small amounts of information and make accurate predictions. And the crazy part? These quick judgments are often surprisingly accurate, which is why they feel so reliable to us. What people are actually judging. So what exactly are people evaluating in those critical 7 seconds? Let's break it down into the key elements. First, your appearance. And I'm not talking about whether you're attractive or not. I'm talking about how you present yourself. Your clothing sends immediate signals about your status, your profession, your attention to detail, and how much you respect the situation you're in. Someone wearing a crisp, well-fitted outfit communicates something very different than someone in wrinkled, ill-fitting clothes. Fair or not, people make instant assumptions based on these visual cues. Think about it. If you saw a doctor in dirty, torn scrubs versus clean, pressed ones, your trust level would be completely different. Second, your body language. This is absolutely huge. Research shows that 55% of communication is nonverbal, which means more than half of what you're saying has nothing to do with words. Are you standing tall or slouching? Are your shoulders back or hunched forward? Is your posture open or closed? Someone who walks into a room with their head up, shoulders back, and a relaxed but purposeful stride is immediately perceived as more confident and competent than someone shuffling in with their eyes on the floor. Your body literally speaks before your mouth does. Third, your facial expressions. Your face is incredibly expressive, even when you think you're being neutral. A genuine smile, what psychologists call a Duchenne smile, where your eyes crinkle at the corners, triggers trust and warmth in the other person's brain. But a fake smile or a blank, neutral expression can create distance and make people uncomfortable. People are also reading your eyes constantly. Are you making appropriate eye contact? Too little eye contact suggests insecurity, dishonesty, or disinterest. Too much can feel aggressive or make people uncomfortable. The sweet spot is about 60 to 70% of the conversation. Fourth, your handshake. If physical contact happens in those first seconds, it matters enormously. Studies show that a firm handshake is strongly associated with extroversion, emotional expressiveness, and overall positive first impressions. A weak, limp handshake? People unconsciously associate that with low confidence, lack of interest, or even untrustworthiness. Your handshake should be firm, but not crushing. It should last about 2 to 3 seconds and be accompanied by eye contact. Fifth, your voice and speech patterns. The moment you speak, people are analyzing your tone, your pace, your volume, and your clarity. A clear, confident voice with appropriate volume suggests authority and self-assurance. Mumbling, speaking too quickly out of nervousness, or using lots of filler words like, and can seriously undermine your message before people even process what you're saying. Your voice carries emotional information that people pick up on instantly. And here's something most people don't realize. All of this is happening simultaneously. Your brain isn't evaluating these things one by one in a checklist. It's creating a complete gestalt, a whole impression that's greater than the sum of its parts. That's why first impressions feel so instant and so complete. The halo effect and why impressions stick. Now here's where first impressions become really powerful and really dangerous. Once your brain forms that initial judgment, it activates something called the halo effect. The halo effect is a cognitive bias where one positive trait influences how we perceive everything else about a person. If someone makes a great first impression, we unconsciously assume they have other positive qualities too. We think they're smarter, funnier, more honest, more capable, even when we have absolutely no evidence for any of that. It's like our brain puts a halo over their head and sees them through rose-colored glasses. But the reverse is also true, and it's called the horn effect. If someone makes a poor first impression, we attribute negative qualities to them across the board. One bad trait makes us assume everything else about them is bad too. This is completely unfair, but it's how our brains work. And here's the real problem. Once these impressions form, they're incredibly resistant to change. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. After that initial 7 seconds, your brain starts looking for evidence that confirms your first impression and ignores or downplays evidence that contradicts it. If you decided someone is trustworthy in those first seconds, you'll interpret their actions generously. If you decided they're sketchy, you'll interpret the exact same actions with suspicion. This is why recovering from a bad first impression is so incredibly difficult. You're not just fighting against one negative perception. You're fighting against the other person's brain actively working to prove itself right. How to master your first impression. All right, so now that we understand the psychology, let's talk about what you can actually do with this information. How do you make those 7 seconds work for you? Number 1, prepare before you arrive. Your first impression actually starts before you even meet someone. Check yourself in a mirror before important meetings. Make sure your clothing is clean, well-fitted, and appropriate for the situation. Run your hands through your hair. Take a few deep breaths to calm your nerves and center yourself. Remind yourself of your value and what you bring to the interaction. This mental and physical preparation creates a foundation of confidence that people will sense immediately.